Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Thursday. It's March 14th. This will be our chart lesson for today. And once again, we're wrapping up another week. No chart lessons on Fridays. The weeks just keep flying by. It seemed like we just started on Mondays or yesterday, but I don't know. When you're busy, I guess time flies. But anyway, looking at the daily chart, it looked like it was started out. It was going to be a really bearish day, and like always, late in the evening. Pretty much when the volume gets thin, this thing rocketed straight back up and took a lot of it back again. So doesn't end up looking nearly as bad as it did. Just kind of looks like a mixed day, and I guess that's what you call it, a mixed day that did close down, unfortunately, but not by much. So it looks like we bounced off. Not quite the midline here. This could be off just a tad. It may need adjusting just a little. Um, but that really doesn't fit down here now. So maybe we didn't quite get there. I'm going to leave it like I had it. Looks like we didn't quite get to the midline. Actually, that looks better right there. Um, it looks like we really bounced off the gold or yellow envelope and closed above the green one. So, I mean, you just can't really hardly get more than a couple of days down in this market anymore, and then it's rocketing up to new highs. So we'll see what tomorrow brings. You can see that these trend lines are affecting it because we're not getting back up and closing. You can see we're losing some momentum up into the brown, the purple brown area where usually your reversal happens. So um, one day this thing's going to correct. It's going to correct hard, but it's not today, and probably not tomorrow either. But anyway, there it is. My guess is until this election's over, this market's not going to sell off. That's what I'm thinking. They're going to keep it propped up. And they're trying to make everything look as rosy as they can. Um, and that's the way election years usually go. It's not nothing. It's nothing new. It's just the way election years are. They're not. They're going to try to keep everything looking as rosy as possible because they want to get reelected. So anyway, there it is. Let's flip over to the 2000 tick chart. We'll take a look at it. It's kind of a crazy day, and there's a lot of trades in there too. It's probably going to take a few minutes. So let's flip over. And here it is. And what we had was we had a trend down with a break and a couple legs down. They never made a new low here. But then we got a little two-legged correction there. Really, there was a bigger two-legged correction here, so you almost want to start this here. But this was the retest, which never made a new low. So, it looks like we just started another trend here. Once we had this kind of two-legged correction right here, we really started another trend. We had a break pretty quick and a big bearish sell-off into the 230, and then from there, it just rallies straight up again like always. The volume starts to get thin and doesn't take much buying probably to run it right back up again. And that's what they keep doing. I've seen that happen over and over lately. During the regular hours, it's either rallying straight up or it's selling off pretty hard, but they never let it stay there on the sell-offs because they rally it back up, and if they take as much of it as they can back. So crazy day really. But let's zoom in here. A lot of price action today, a lot of volume. So we're going to have to zoom in here real close to probably be able to see this. And I forget to do this sometimes. You have to be patient this morning. 7 o'clock came up in here, but we had all this 7:30 news, and you really need to be sitting flat on that. So by 7:20 or something, and so all of this, you can see the news did affect it. You could probably start trading again by here, but there's a second entry right here, but the signal bar is no good because look at the stem on it. It's got a stem of a point, a little more than a point and a half. So you can't really trade that. Then you're choppy, you're back here, and you finally get a lower high. But this is we're out into the 8:30 opening, regular session opening. Even this is a little congested, but this is a clear, tighter channel down through here. Really all you had were your first two swings on the bigger one at that point. but there's a clear channel here, and it's still in play. It's a second entry short. It's right off the key entry point, bearish bar, plenty of room to the low. I like that trade. Even with the congestion there, you're just moving over back to the trend channel line. And then you get a trend up, close outside, new high. You get a first entry short and second entry short, but the signal bar is no good on either one of them, and it just goes sideways. And then finally you drop down. Really, you got a triple high test there. But again, the signal bar is no good. But then you get a first entry, second entry. So there's a failure right there and a little double top. And this actually breaks higher and turns down. And this is a nice bar that you could, it's colored, the whole bar is mostly colored. So you could take that on the engulfing bar, or you could wait till it closes. There's still room down here to this low, no matter which way you go, I think. But I like that trade. You're expecting prices to make a new low, and you don't expect this to happen, but the bottom falls out of this. And if you take this one trade, and if you just follow it down to the first bar that broke higher, there's 14.5 points. I mean, that's actually, I take that back because it did get a little break there, but you know, one tick, you probably ride that out. Here you had a major break above it. I say major, but you had a bar that closed above it, basically. If you waited for just that till you got a bar that closed above and then a tick above that, then you still got 13 points there on one contract. I mean, it doesn't take but one trade like that with a runner or two, depending on how many contracts you can trade. Even one contract, I mean, that's a nice profit for the day, and you're done. You do get a break here, but it just kind of goes into another flatter trend, really, as what I think, instead of a break and a new low. And then you get a break here, and you get a first entry. Technically, there's a second entry right here, but it's still two legs back to the EMA, and a nice signal bar. That signal bar is only 6 ticks. But notice you come up and you get your first entry, and it broke higher right there, and it didn't break lower again until right there. So really your second entry was on the trigger below that one. And you can clearly see that you're just working sideways there. So no reason to really take that trade. When it comes back here and you get this second leg and you get this small 6-tick bar with a very bearish close, I like that one. Even if you might have played this as a tighter range. It's a range, but you might have been just played this tighter part, but you still got room if you play it this way. If you wanted to go short right there, you don't have room anyway to the low. So that should have kept you out of it regardless. But I like that one because it's clearly two legs back. And it actually gives you another little lower high, but you can't take that trade. The signal bar is no good. And then the bottom drops out of it again. So you would have probably caught a runner on this as well, real easily. And then it rallies. Now I didn't mark this trade, although this, because we're still in the blue channel, but it's obvious we're probably on the other side now. Actually, it's not yet because none of this is fitting well up here at this point. You don't really know where the low is until a little bit later. Actually, until you already got a break, because this just doesn't fit well up here enough to find this. To me, this looks like an overshoot, because if you come back here and you pull this up to where that fits right there, now this looks legitimate. Actually, I would say it's still probably slightly higher, like so. And if you do that, you get an overshoot down here. So in my opinion, I really think we got an overshoot, then a channel up, and we still got a break and a move to a new low, but man, it was a struggle to get down there. So, and it mostly went sideways after that. But I think this is correct here. It fits better like this. And if you did see it this way, this is a high or low. It's an inside bar, but it's like 4 ticks. It's so low. I would have much rather seen it break lower and then turn up. But being that far away from the EMA, maybe you take that trade. That's the kind, if you want to be aggressive and, push the limits a little bit, that's where you do it. But I recommend if you're new and trying to get profitable, don't try to pick any bottoms. Just don't do it. You got to be skilled to do that. But it runs up, break. There's still no entries in here all the way up. There's just no chance to get in that. And next thing you know, you're trending lower. I don't really see any setups here that I like. There's no second entries. There's a hidden second entry here, but that's your first break. If you took that, it works, but it's still not a great setup. If you draw your trend channel, you don't get your close outside really till here convincing, and you never make a new high. You actually break higher here and turn down, but you can't trade that on the engulfing bar because its bar has no body. Don't try to trade those type bars on an engulfing bar. And so there's just no setup here. And we get a lot of that lately, where the market just is choppy and mixed, and it rockets one direction. Next thing you know, it's rocketing in the other, and you're better off to just be real picky and just sit on the sidelines when that happens. Otherwise, you get chopped to pieces. But here's one that's a little easier. You got a trend working up. You get a close outside, move to a new high, big bearish bar, still way away from the EMA. My only concern, I almost made this one green. My only concern is it didn't break lower here. You get this inside bar, but it still closes really bullish. So I think if it breaks below that far away from the EMA, you're probably good to go, especially on the first break here. Although you might have had an overshoot down here, I still think you're good to go there. And you can see that thing just drops straight down finally, comes back and tests it from underneath and drops straight down again. So you got a really bearish move. There's actually a short-term trend line there. I didn't mark it. Doesn't really change anything, but it's there. I'll go ahead and put it on there because a lot of times people ask me about that. Well, what about this? Well, it's still a trend. It just doesn't really change anything. So, but you get your break, attempted a new low, and notice you got a double bottom. So there's no leg in here. So this is the new low, first entry, second entry. But unfortunately, that's not a good enough signal bar. But it comes back and gives you a lower high and turns back down right off the support of this little range, and you got plenty of room out. Enter right there. That's the place to enter, and you can see it's a quick, easy scalp. And what does it do? It bounces right where you thought it would. It ends up going lower, but it bounces. And notice it comes back and gets the break-even stops, and then goes right where you probably think it would go. Then finally, all of a sudden it just rockets out of there just straight up. No rhyme or reason to this thing. It rockets straight down and rockets straight up. But you get your break, a lower high. You would prefer to see a higher low here, just so because it could turn down and go back up. But being that far away from the EMA, it looks like a repeat of this almost exactly, except it didn't quite make a new high. I'm going short on that every time, being that far away from the EMA. Second entry short, boom, quick move, and it actually goes a little further and then rockets right back up, and it does make a new high by one tick, and then it turns. If this would have closed on this low, maybe you go short there, but it doesn't. This actually breaks higher and turns down. That's green enough that if you wanted to take that as a lower high on an engulfing bar, I think you could. And technically this is a reversal, but this is not where we're really looking for a reversal to happen. So I don't recommend trading that right there. It's just a first entry in my opinion, and you don't even have any room to scalp out there. So just let it go. Turns out to be a great move, but you can't be guaranteed that. It could bounce easy on you. Then you get a break, attempted a new low, and and it's shooting straight up again. You do get a lower high here, and this probably would have worked. I didn't mark it because there's not much room back to the EMA there. You can see there's 2 points. It would have easily worked. And it's just such a big bar. Didn't mean to do that. It's 15 ticks, so just wait. And you can see it didn't go far, and then it comes back. And now you got a triple test with a slightly lower high and a very good signal bar that's only 8 ticks versus 15. So a whole lot more less risk, and you got more room back to the EMA. And that was a nice little move. And then, of course, it's coming back again. And basically, there's a little range here. I didn't draw the whole range, but there's a whole range here. And so you really got to play the range rules. I mean, there's a nice one here, but it made a new low, and it had a 2-bar matching high, and you see it broke higher and came back. You would have survived it, but I just didn't like entering there. And this one's doesn't, it's a higher low basically, so you can't enter on it. But here you got a failed breakout. But you do have a break and a new high. I didn't like this one just because there's just so much uncertainty here. You don't know if this thing's going higher or if it's going lower. And on this breakout, it could come back and test that support and go higher. It doesn't. So I mean, it's one you could mark green. After the fact, it's obvious. Should have gone short there. But in real time, you just, when you see that in real time, the expectations is it's going to at least come back as a failure, but it might bounce off that support, and you just don't have a lot of room. If you had a little more room in there, maybe. Again, it doesn't, but you don't know that in advance because we haven't really gotten up here as high as we have gotten some previous times. So that's why I'm just going to make that one green. Again, after the fact, it looks simple. Hey, I should have gone short there. But, what it looks like after the fact and in real time is totally different. And this is just another range right here. Actually, it's probably more like that right there. And again, you're moving down, you get a break. You do get a new low here, but I don't see any signal bar that would have me going long there. And it breaks out and shoots straight back up there again. We're chopping along. You do get another triple test, but again, not enough room. And you see it's trying to bounce. It doesn't end up bouncing. But this time you get a first entry and a second entry. And now you got a confirmed trend line. So you could trade this more as a failure because we're probably going to the other side of the channel. Or if this is setting up as a range, at least down to these lows. So, and this one actually broke higher first and then turned down. So you got a little room there, even if it bounces at that double bottom, but it doesn't matter. This thing just kind of takes off. So I do like that one as an engulfing bar. If you wait till it closes, I think there's too much stem. Maybe it's still bearish enough, but I'd probably change it to green if you're going short down here. But if you go short below that, you got exactly your 6 ticks you need to scalp out on 4 ticks right there. So I'm good with it on that. Drops down, you get a break, but the bottom drops. There is a lower high here. There's just not much room there. It looks a little sideways, congested. I'd just sit tight. You've already had a break and a new low, so you don't know. It could go down and make 1 or 2 ticks and then rock it back up again like it's been doing. But this thing just kind of keeps working lower. Here's another one, you do get a close outside the new high all in one bar. But we've already had the break, and I think we've already have a new low there by then. We do. So, and there's 2 legs. So I'm a little less, again, it's one you probably could argue to be green. If it was a second entry short, I'd say for sure you got to take it. But here it's just a close outside with a new high on this little channel. So you could easily go higher again and then get a second entry. So I'm just not that crazy about it. We run down here, we bounce. I don't think you want to be picking a low down here. And this thing, and again, it just rockets back up, and you don't even get a chance. It doesn't even give you an entry. It's next thing you know, it's just rocketing higher. And as fast as it went up, it comes back down again. It's just a crazy market right now. But anyway, you get a close outside, attempted a new high, and then a failed second entry long. And again, this one broke higher and turned down. You can't trade this one on the engulfing bar because it doesn't engulf, but you can go short right there. This is the first break of this blue channel, so the odds are we're probably going to make a new low here. and you get a first entry here. Signal bar is no good, and it bounces first entry, second entry. Now here you do get the close outside, new high, and you also get a second entry. Take that one, and it's, you know, it's 6 ticks, relatively small. You can get in that with an 8-tick rule, and boom, the bottom falls out. And here's another one that rockets down. That's a nice move, even if you only get part of it. Again, if you just took this down until you get the first bar that closes above and then a break above it, and that's going to be all the way down here. So that's almost 20 points on one move. And that didn't take but 20 minutes and 59 seconds. Those are the ones you got to try to catch that really pay off. And then we're just working sideways, nothing in there. You do get a failed break lower here, and by this time you've got your close outside, and you do have a new low right there compared to this one. So I like going long there, just to ride it back to inside, just to ride it back to the EMA and back inside the range. It'll probably go back to the highs if it gets back inside, which it does, and turns down again, and then gives you a little overshoot before it rallies and takes most everything back in a blink again. Well, I wouldn't say in a blink. This took a little longer. I mean, that one took 27 minutes to go 32 points. I remember when days we wouldn't get 32 points in a whole day in the ES. Now you get 32 points in 27 minutes. It's absolutely insane. And this is not as volatile as it was during, don't get me wrong, this is volatile, but if you were trading during COVID times, I mean, that was the craziest I've ever seen in my lifetime. I've never seen anything like it. You could rally 100 points in 30, 45 minutes to an hour. When just prior to that, sometimes a 25-point day with 20, 25 points was it. So anyway, there it is. It's 2 trends down. Here where you get one, I think you get an overshoot, it reverses. You still get a break and attempt at a new low, and it can't make it, and then it makes a little 2-legged correction, and then it starts a new trend down. And this one plays out. You get a break, move to a new low, and then it rallies like crazy. So there it is. I mean, this is really crazy through here, real choppy, but you can see we're still making lower highs and lower lows all the way down through there, so you're mostly going to be looking for shorts. And it looked like we might be going to finally rally out of here, and boom, it sells off again. So somebody dumped some shares today, but somebody bought a bunch back at the end of the day. Anyway, I mean, it takes some selling to make a move like that right there, and a move like that. And then it takes some buying to make a move like that. Now over here, it's a lot thinner late in the afternoon. Doesn't take as much buying. I mean, it still takes some buying, but not nearly as much as it would take to rally up right here and rally up right here. So, but this, to sell off like that right there, it takes some selling. Somebody's dumping something. So, anyway, there it is. Hope you had a good trading day. I hope you've had a good week. I'm done for today. This will wrap up our week as far as the chart lessons go. I'm trying to get out by noon on Fridays these days. And so I'm going to wrap it up. And we'll be back again to do it Monday. I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com. And we'll see you next time.